Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Mandy. So what you're looking at here is a train wreck that I'm trying to fix. So what you can't see here is this is a really beautiful color called Andromeda. Let me see if I can show you without messing up everything that I've just done. So it's a resin art pigment from Colourarte. It's like a violet blue. It's really, really beautiful. Well, a while back when I made my big geode in blue, I mixed a bunch of this up because in my mind what I remembered was it was more blue than violet. And then I was like, that's more violet than I had in mind. And I didn't want to waste it because, I mean, look at it, it's beautiful. So I grabbed a primed 8-inch board and I just went, phew, because I didn't have time to like make it pretty. So it has no shape. It has no plan. So it's been sitting in my shelf for who knows how long. So I was messing with something else and I decided I'm just going to get some mirrored glass out and see what I can do to lay the glass down and go ahead and drizzle some resin over it so that I can at least get my glass in place so I can do something with this. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to speed this up. I am using some mirrored glass from Michaels. I don't like it because it has a white backing, but I need to use it because I still have this and it looks cool on small things like this. I also might use, for some bigger pieces, I might use some of this Diamond Starlight from Celestial Fireglass, but I'm not sure. So anyway, I want to just do something around this so that I can come in and do some line work or something and make something out of this so that it's not just sitting here looking crazy. So that's what I'm gonna do. So forgive me because I sped this up a lot and so you can't see me show you the colors, but I'm gonna use more of the Andromeda color in just a moment along with some silver and some white. So after I arrange this glass, I drizzle some resin over the top, let it dry. And then I'm going to use Top Cell White from Color Passion. I'm going to use aluminum, which I think is from Just Resin, this DMArtBar floating silver pigment. And that's what I just showed you in like the fastest speed ever. So I realized that's not that helpful. So this is the aluminum. This is from Just Resin. And I don't end up liking this, so I will warn you that what starts off kind of looking okay, it's going to get messed up. So that's why I sped this up so much. I didn't really intend for that to be so hyper speed. So that's the Andromeda next to the aluminum. So on the other side though, I have the floating pigment on the left side, which is the silver. It's kind of hard to tell from this distance what's what. That's the floating pigment I just put down next to the white. So typically next to the white is the floating pigment. And I added a little bit more Andromeda in the middle, which is where I kind of screwed up because it starts seeping into the glass. I should have not added the floating pigment there either. So, you know, this is where like when you start off simple and then you have resin left over and you're like, well, where can I put this? Resist the urge, use it on something else because it doesn't go real well. But you can see it's kind of cool where we've torched that floating pigment near the white. It's creating those really cool cells. I do end up totally overworking this and trying to fix it. But the great thing about resin art, you can see me trying to fix it now, is you can add another layer, you can add lines, you can do other things later to smooth it out and make it look better. At this point, I'm trying to strategically use what I have left and trying to create some interest in the white. I will say when you're using a white pigment paste, like Color Passion or something like that, it's a resin paste, you can
accidentally torch too much and cause it to yellow. So one tip I learned from watching Artists Till Death is to add, you know, a couple drops of like white dye or white pigment in to help give it some additional color fastness. I didn't do that, and then there was one, you might be able to slightly see it on the left where my white started to yellow a little bit, and I ended up getting that part off, but I was like, man, they weren't kidding. So I will probably do that next time, maybe add a little Illumilite white in there or something just to help with the color fastness. All right, so now this Hot Mess Express has dried. So what you're seeing me do here is go in and fix what I did in the middle where I added that floating pigment and it just got crazy and covered up the Andromeda. So I've added some Andromeda back up in some resin, and I don't know why I said back up, whatever, but I'm basically putting it back in the middle. But the bummer is where my glass was kind of nice and bright and shiny, some of the Andromeda has kind of gotten underneath the glass and made it look kind of bluish, which wasn't the look I was going for. It doesn't look bad, but it wasn't what I was going for. So while I really do kind of like some of the interest of where it's moved around to the right, I still had some resin in the cup with the Andromeda, so I went ahead and covered up both sections again, and then I just let this, I didn't add any more colors. What I did do though is I added more glass, which you'll see in just a minute, to try to brighten up those glass sections again, which I probably should have waited when I didn't have wet resin, because I ended up having to pick some of it out of the glass, which I don't think is on camera, or out of the resin. And then when I do some additional work, I'll probably do some silver glitter lines before I do like resin top coats. So I'm just very carefully adding some glass. I had drizzled some clear resin over that after it was finished. And so I'm just adding some glass just to kind of brighten up that section again. I may end up putting glitter lines on either side, but you can see I end up having to pick up stupid pieces of glass out of there, but whatever, it's part of the process. Okay, everyone, so I sped this up super fast. I'm taking some silver holographic glitter that's mixed up very thick and some resin. I let the resin sit a little bit while I covered a different painting, but I didn't get it quite thick enough here, and I'm basically pulling it up through this little syringe and trying to do lines next to my glass to clean up those edges where the color is kind of underneath. And so anyway, I promise you it will be prettier than it is right now, but it is spreading out more than I prefer, which always happens to me, which means I'm not getting it thick enough or letting it sit long enough. But it still looks better than it did. So we're going to let it dry. Okay, so my glitter lines spread out a little bit more than I wanted, which means I didn't quite get it thick enough. So what I'm doing now is I'm outlining my glitter lines with my silver Craftsmart paint pen. It's the skinny one. And I'm like kind of terrible at straight lines, so you see me pause periodically to wipe off a mess that I made with alcohol. This took like 10 minutes, but I'm speeding this up to 30 seconds because how much fun can it be to watch me draw lines? So I'm going to show you a flood coat close-up after this next close-up. Okay, so that had me really nervous, but this is before we flood coat, and there's probably still some loose glass, but I just wanted you to see what a difference those lines made, because if you look at the glitter up close where it's spread out, you can see, like right here, you can see through it. Over here, this line I added after, and it was thicker, so it had better consistency. But anyway, we still ended up losing a lot of our color in the middle,
But now that we have these lines, it kind of looks like we intentionally have like rows of jewels. And now I kind of dig it. I know that this looks crazy, this floating pigment, but I liked what it did, so I left it alone. So we're going to do a flood coat, probably a couple of them, and then I'll show you a close-up of the final result. But yeah, I think we still have this weird purple part showing, but oh well. But I think adding these lines definitely classed it up a little bit. Yeah, so I'll show you the final result after it's done. This has been quite a journey of craziness, but look at that sparkle. It's kind of overwhelming. Yeah, I still have some of the blue that got under the glass that bugs me, but I mean, there's nothing I can do about it now that won't overwork it. Okay. All right, everyone. So I did a flood coat. I let it dry. Then I used my heat gun to heat up the tape on the sides, and I pulled the tape off. But here it is up close after a flood coat. Considering what a mess we started off with, I think it's beautiful. My husband said it's a Dallas Cowboys geode. If you don't like the Cowboys, don't blame the geode. The Andromeda color is a little more purple than it is navy. You can see there's some edges where that color shows. So what I do with that is I just get some fine sandpaper and I gently sand, and then I paint the sides with white acrylic paint. It usually covers it pretty well. Thanks for watching. Bye.